everybody, welcome. How are all of you? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you drink water. You better be drinking water, otherwise I will find you and I will make you. How are all you guys? Who is Derek? Derek is a character in our life. Ah, why can't I find the things that I'm looking for? Okay. Don't mind me just doing streamer scuff shit. And maybe plotting world domination. You'll never know. You'll never know. Smooth. Ew. Shush. Shush. I listen. Raven, listen. Do I look like I can do any harm? Look at these little innocent ears. I am 135% innocent. Right, that's believable, right? You believe that I'm innocent, right? Raven, you believe in me, yeah? Anyone is capable. What do you mean anyone is capable? Most of that baka. Squeeze me. Listen. I is a good kitty. Right, Raven. Right. Raven. Hello. Hello. Raven, tell me you believe that I'm innocent. Tell me that I'm innocent and give me headbats, goddammit! Alright, I'm gonna stop being a dumbass, so I'm gonna get the music up here. And open up the game. If I can find it. I can't find shit on the computer. Redeems aren't a thing on YouTube, unfortunately. It makes me sad because I want it bad. I want that bad, but YouTube says no. And I'm pretty sure Trigger Fire only works for... I can't think of websites right now. Twitch. And it kinda sucks. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some shrinkage here. I'm gonna have to do some surgery on my channel. What is wrong with me? For that matter, what is wrong with you guys? You all watch me. You do words good. Words? What the fuck are those? Is that a food? Is that some kind of vegetable I haven't heard of? I do not know of this words of which you speak, my good sir. I probably need to figure out how to adjust my ring light so my eyes aren't looking in a weird fucking dirt. Well, that's probably fine. You know, I should start posting on Twitter. I need attention when I stream. I need attention, god damn it, mortals! No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not gonna actually do that. Probably. I probably won't do that. This is gonna give me so much OCD if I cannot position this the way I want it to be positioned. That looks fine, probably. This will drive me nuts throughout the whole stream. You guys know this. Totally joking. Listen. I might be needy. I might crave attention, but I don't scream about it on Twitter. I scream about it on my streams. At least I have the decency to do that when I'm live. Alright. You opened your tired eyes, frowning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your brown skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. Listen, I never denied being needy for attention. Didn't remember falling asleep. Hope had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while they were hanging out, but you couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove stayed before heading home. You kept your face and yawn again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay and snuggle a little while longer. The answer is obviously stay in and sleep. Come on now, people. Your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left? He was still there in the morning! Cope! You laughed out loud, you jumped out of bed, you froze. I probably would have just broke out laughing. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground, precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. Oh lord. with your laugh. Cove's eyes snapped open and its head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. Oof. She clamped a hand over your mouth and looked down on him with the wide eyes curled up where he had landed rather ungracefully. Good job, buddy. Oh my god, I'm probably gonna laugh at him more. Just because I'm that evil. Cove gave you an appreciative look, but you couldn't help it. That was too funny. If either of your moms found out Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settle in his mind.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! I fell asleep! Yeah, you did, dumbass. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove's hand flew to his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they're supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's going to be alright. We're gonna be in so much trouble. Just calm down. Settle down before my mom's hear you. Hang on a second. There we go. Nobody needed to hear that. We're gonna be in so much trouble. Calm down. Settle down around you. I was like, it's gonna be alright. We just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, we would have... If they knew, they would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tense as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later! You were confused by how all this played out, but hoped that was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove! I thought you were suddenly wrapped in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks again. You're a good friend, Salem. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. But you were let go before you had the chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he climbed over your bed and opened the window. The cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Probably should have grabbed water, but I'll live, probably. Cove fearlessly stepped out into the ledge. Wish them luck. You're out them keep going. Just did he sneak out the door instead? Get out of here! Shoot, shoot, shoot! Move it, Cove! We're gonna get caught! You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to keep... You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keeping watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down to the ground. He threw a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran up towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed by how doable he made that look. little sigh, you closed your window. Deciding there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. Found slippers, you checked yourself in the mirror. Made your bed, you just left. Oh, let's put on slippers, I guess. You knew it was summer, but your slippers were comfy and cozy and made you feel better whenever you wore them. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face onto a look of innocence. Because we're innocent little angels here. Especially me, right? Right? Do you guys believe that I'm innocent? Yeah? Come on, cat! You were sure someone would have come to your room if they had heard anything strange. But you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped onto the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth! She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greenie. Why are you being so weird? Why are you being so weird? I hadn't even done anything. Your bed sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flicker left and right as you sidestepped her and headed towards the kitchen. Salem? You shrugged it off, calmed down. Wouldn't you like to know? Sorry. Excitedly, you blurted it out. You folded. I'm just gonna say. Let's see. Oh god, what should we do? Interesting options that we have here. I'm just gonna say we excitedly blurted it out. Just I want to see what'll happen. Cup was in my room last night for the whole night. You were still secretly buzzing from the event and just had to tell it to somebody. Your sister's mouth fell open as if on command from that admission. Don't tell moms, please. After it really seemed to sunk in, he buckled forward with laughter. Elizabeth put a hand on the kitchen island to keep a little more stable. I cannot believe you! You let the neighborhood boys sneak into our house and then stay over? Wow, that's just... wow! Does his dad even know? No, it's a secret. A secret? Well... Your older sister was having a good time putting the heat on like this. You were at her mercy. You're lucky I'm not a snitch. You better plan on keeping my secret starting today, or else. And mercy was granted only for you now. Oh, and mercy was granted only for now. Excuse me. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Right, sure. I don't know what you see in him, sis, but enjoy. Listen, it wasn't like that. We were playing cards. That's all that happened. With a wave, she walked right out the front door, letting it shut behind her, and she let out a brief sigh of relief. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in one piece and alone. Your moms were rolled out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. Let's just eat everything because we're hungry. It was tasty. You appreciated there was a variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was... excuse me. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided on what that something was just yet. You were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he had left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what happened to him. Excuse me. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now? Or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck on an internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hi, Salem! Confused, you looked over to where the unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school or from your country club. Your mom's not your school or from the country club your mom took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point out the condo across the street from your own house. She was Co's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner that you had gotten a good look at her. She seems nice. She seems sort of strange. She does look really. It makes sense that she's Co's mom. Felt different to Co. She was super pretty. She is super pretty. I'm gonna say she felt different to Co. For the little time you had been around her, she'd given off a totally different impression than Co did. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming today, but you hadn't gotten the impression that it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicure fingers in front of your face in the assortment of bracelets and dangles around her wrist. I'm Kira Grace. You can call me Kira. You shook her hand. You reached out and shook her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Salem, but you already knew that. And in case anybody in my chat is wondering, yes, I picked the name Salem because of the freaking black cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That I do.
Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Salem. Cove talked about you to his mom. Yeah, mentioned how he said things about her to you. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. There we go. What has Cove said about me? What are you doing here? Nice to meet you too. I'm just say nice to meet you too. She smiled at you fondly, her eyes crinkling at the corners. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both of your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby.
you are! I thought you were gonna keep me standing out here all day! You tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked over to you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Cove and I are heading to town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kira beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you should come with us, Salem. I'd love to get you to know you better. Yeah, you should come. Cove is like, please, please, please. I don't want to be alone with this woman. There was pleading in his tone and you couldn't miss it. There's pleading in his face that you couldn't miss. Never mind the tone of his voice. Of course, we'll run it by your parents for responsibility and all that. That'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the streets for the time being. Any woozies, let's go. Kira walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. He leaned in and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that I didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh, you were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed again even heavier. Go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the grief she found in front of her door. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela. I see you've met my kid Salem, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kira laughed and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kira Pace, Cove's mom. So nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eye as Mom popped up from behind Mom, squeezing herself beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kira. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands. Hello. Hi, Salem. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and he gestured a hand towards the... Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Ah, I understand. You're welcome to stop by anytime.
Of course.
I'll take you up on that offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind much if Salem went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice. I hope you have fun. You give your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You were annoyed that you would agree just like that. Honestly, I kind of just wanted to stay home and chill. Maybe stalk Derek. Hang out with Derek. You already assured Ko that you would go along, but it would have been nice for your moms to ask you. Even if you had shown up with them, you might not have wanted to go. Marvelous. Expect us in about an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here. Yeah, it is a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them. It was kind of strange to see Ko give someone this much attitude. If he wasn't in the mood to be nice, he generally kept to himself. Just kept to himself. Kira put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Whoops. Not really. Kira pouted out to him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Salem? Want to point me in the right direction? I'm just gonna say, not really. We'll let her pick. You're peas in a pod, huh? Kira shook her head at you and Ko, though she was still smiling. Well, let's head into town and see what we can find. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Ko and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. You walked around for a little while, looking at the different options and gazing into the various shop windows. Most of the restaurants you passed were filled with guests already, sampling the town's various food places. When you headed up past a familiar place with gold writing on the glass and a red lacquered roof that you had always admired, you started to slow down. My family comes here all the time. It's really good.
Come on.
I think we have a winner. I've always loved Chinese food. Let's head on in. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kira lowered herself into the chair while Ko picked one diagonal to her, not facing her or her. Kira lowered herself into the chair while Ko picked one diagonal to her, not facing her or to the side. It was awkward. Ahem. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? Vodka! Oh, wait, sorry. We're 13. We can't drink. Vodka! No, I'm joking. I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Salem? Just water, juice, milk, coffee. Why am I so tempted to say milk? Is it the cat in me? I feel like it's the cat in me. I'm gonna say milk. Which type? Ooh, strawberry! Sure. Strawberry milk. Yes! God. I don't know what it is, but when I was really, really young, I got excited whenever I had a strawberry milk. I don't know why. It was just one of my favorite things to drink, and I can't explain why. You're gonna place the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought onto the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, and you decided to order a usual thing. You had been to this restaurant many times, so you knew what was good and what wasn't. And what wasn't already. Here in Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. Glanced at the surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove slumped back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like this was all perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions, he'd brush off. Kira had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you. So Salem, what's a few things you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. I like to read, I like to watch. I'm really into girl. I'm not gonna say that. I like to hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. Games are fun too. I like to play video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. I like video games and card games more than I like board games. I like card games too. Maybe we can play together sometime. And go to the beach and go surfing. Oh, do you and Cove surf together? Kira looked at Cove expectantly, who mumbled something non-committally and looked away. Swim? You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toes sometimes. Seashells. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. And build sandcastles. That sounds like a lot of fun. And walk along the shore because, yes. That's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. And I guess music. So yeah. You don't play the piano? We don't have one at home, so I only get to practice when I go to lessons though. Play the guitar. I'm really good at it, and I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on, and I've seen some concerts. Awesome. And I write things. A fellow writer. Writing is a good form of expression, don't you think? Which I actually do. I story write with my free time. Kira sighs wistfully, her eyes going soft. Thanks, I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. What exactly did Cove say about me? Kira laughed, holding a hand in front of her mouth. I can't tell you that. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son too much. Kids are delicate at this age. She laughed again. He glanced at Cove and see his reaction. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask her questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. Are you in a relationship now? Kira brushed the question off lightly. Not at present. Well, what do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course. And traveling. A real shock, huh? Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. You know what? Why did you and Mr. Holden get divorced? Cove nudged you in the arm when you looked at him. He seemed furious. Kira brushed the question off lightly. That's grown-up stuff. You should enjoy your youth while you can without having to worry about all that. Cove sipped his soda angrily again, slurping the remaining drink with furrowed eyebrows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You know, let's just leave him alone. Or the more fun option. The rapper hit Cove on the nose. You bit down your lip to keep from laughing. It took a couple of moments before he finally cracked a smile, and then made you feel a little lighter inside. You two seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Ugh, Mom, why would you say that? Felt bothered too, you blushed. Thanks, we are cute! Very! Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious, even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright. Now that we're fully content, can you explain please why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face scrunched at that. Someone pouty. Hi Dad! Welcome! How are you? Seriously, baby? What did Mom do to make you this sad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to not miss anything else. Eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't gonna visit you this year. That you were gonna be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Those eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I do want you around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same and nobody said anything. I'm doing alright. I had blood drawn. It was fun.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both you and Kova to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Those lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart! What do I feel like this would be me as a mom? It's not even 8 o'clock! It's 7:40! She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Ko tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop! I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooshed by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. I forgot how much I loved Kira until now. Kira was completely enthused by Ko's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too? No. Okay. Message received. Cove had snapped at the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back just as quickly. Maybe later. Not today.
It's alright.
I understand. You can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way, excuse me. And thank you, Salem. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. Mama! She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you had left the restaurant and Kira had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much that by the time you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually, you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family, in Salem too. Cliff, Dad. The two of them walked past into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as Theo looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? He gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a good night, Salem. I am in a very awkward position right now. That's better. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cliff disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience, not only for you and Cove, but also both your families, and dull moments was rarely had. That's the end of step 2. Okay. Thank you for purchasing Dark DLC. You have a plan to play. It also has 5 epilogue. I kind of want to play. I've done all of these, so I want to do one of Derek's DLCs first before I do anything else. So what do you guys want? Responsible, Lemonade, Sorari, Siblings, Boardwalk? Are these all the same? Okay, no, they're not. I could also do... Let's do responsible. The pool of Derek's condo complex was perfect. Set. The pool of Derek's condo complex was perfect. Was a perfect setting for a late morning outing. It was early enough that the day hadn't reached its hottest. The air still held a crispness of morning, despite its pleasantness. Only you and Derek were there. Of course, given the location of the ocean, maybe everyone else who felt like waterside fun was at the beach. You usually were. Wait, hang on. Let me try reading this again. Of course, given the location of the ocean, maybe everyone else who felt like waterside was at the beach. You usually were. The warm roughness of tiles felt odd on your bare feet as you walked further into the pool area. There is no sand to squish between your toes, or sharp shells to avoid. Or sharp glass. Do you know how many broken bottles are left near the beach? But anywho. You surveyed the area while Derek finished up putting his stuff away on a chair. Chlorine was sharp in your senses, and the entire space was orderly. Lounge chairs sat in neat rows. I'm sorry. Umbrellas spaced out uniformly. The depth of the pool was marked out in the clear text along the sides. Every single element was intentionally and expertly crafted to be convenient for its human visitors. It was extremely different from the wild mistress of the sea. You like the plastic pools more? You like the sandy beach with rolling waves more? You like both the pool and the beach about the same? You weren't a fan of this pool you weren't a fan of either this pool or the beach. Well, I love the beach. I like pools too, but I like the beach more, so I'm gonna say I've seen way more. No, I'm gonna say yeah. The pool was too tame. Like it was some big bathtub, and the chemical smell was off-putting. You just have so much more than just water, where there are hidden Where were the hidden treasures? The wide open space and the vast horizon. Pools made sense when the ocean was a million miles away, but you didn't really have a use for it with the beach basically being in your backyard. This had been Derek's plan. He let you know ahead of time so you could be dressed for the occasion. You want one-piece swimsuit, you wear two-piece swimsuit, you wear string chucks, you wear this wetsuit. I don't know what it is, but I fucking hate one-piece swimsuits. I always have. I don't know why, but I've never liked them. And I think it's because... I think it might be because you have to pull your entire swimsuit down when you're going to the bathroom, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. But also, I don't know. I don't think I like the way onesies feel in general. Like, I don't like... How do I put this? Where everything's just kind of... I don't know how to word it. You know what I'm trying to say. Wear a two-piece swimsuit. And... a shawl to cover up. Because I definitely would. I don't know what it is. Shawls, to me, on a beach are comforting if I don't have a hoodie. Your swimming gear was familiar, even if the pool wasn't. You felt prepared. Derek bounded up to you in his swim trunks, flagrantly ignoring the no running signs and his enthusiasm. Torpedoes! Hello, welcome, how are you?
Okay.
Watch! I'm gonna do a cannonball! As soon as he knew he had your attention, he took off the deep end of the pool. He built up speed and then leapt into the water. His curled up body created a huge splash on impact. I probably would have laughed. I don't know why, but I feel like I would have laughed. Your initial surprise snort turned into a full-bodied laugh as you saw him continue the show underwater. Still curled up in a ball, he rolled forward and completely flipped himself over. He stayed under for a while longer. He touched the pool's bottom before he kicked himself back upward. When Derek's head popped out of the water, he swam to the edge of the pool and propped himself up with a grin. He watched you expectantly. He jumped in the pool. He walked over to the steps to get in. You saw that. No, we're jumping in. No, we're jumping in. Like Derek, you gave yourself a bit of a running start. You reached the end, took a deep breath, and leapt as far as you could. Frigid water burst around you, feet first, but soon covering you entirely. You sunk lower into the depths and began to kick. You reached the surface and sucked in the fresh air. You noticed two things. One, that the water wasn't actually freezing when you got used to it. And two, Derek was clapping for you.
Nice.
You got some serious airtime. I'd give a 10 out of 10. God. As you enjoyed the last moment, your thoughts fell back to how you'd gotten here. Last night, Derek had called you with a different sort of request. You remembered that his voice had been a mix of nervous and hope. He had a favor to ask, very unexpected for him. Derek's mom needed him to watch his little brothers in the afternoon. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but that was part of his problem. Lately, he had feared that his sports skills weren't as sharp as he wanted them to be. He hadn't been able to practice soccer or football without the direction of keeping an eye on his brothers. His idea to fix this had been to ask you for help. His idea to fix this had been to ask you for your help watching the kids. If you agree to go to the park with him and his brother, then you could manage. If you agree to go to the park with him and his brothers, then you could manage his brothers while he had a chance to focus on practice. That's how you explained it. You said yes. And your moms had been more than happy to let you spend the day playing support for Derek. They said it would be a good opportunity to take some more responsibility. Sweeten the deal, Derek suggested that you come by early so both of you could hit the pool. Nicholas would be sleeping in, and George could spend some one-on-one time with Mr. Schwartz. So far, the plan had worked out. Ma dropped you off about 15 minutes ago, and both of Derek's brothers were fully occupied. Mr. Schwartz and George were back in the condo together, putting an 800-piece puzzle on the kitchen counter while Nicholas snoozed on the couch. I can't get over how adorable Nicholas is. You had time to kick back before the moment came to be in charge of small children. A sloshing sound pulled you back to the present. Derek had climbed out of the pool. I'm gonna jump again. Want to join? Heck yeah! No, I'm gonna sunbathe. I'd rather watch. Nope. I want to swim in some laps. Yeah, let's go. Heck yeah, let's do this, boy. Happy Derek's exit from the pool. It took arm strength and caution not to scrape yourself on the texture of the concrete. On solid ground, you reversed away from the edge to give yourself enough space for a good jump. Poised to go, you and Derek made eye contact. Leaned forward, bouncing on the balls of his feet.
No worries.
I've already done this one. It's your turn. You did a belly flop, did a backflip into the pool. You showed him your cannonball. You walked onto the edge of the water. You did a cartwheel in the pool. You offered your hand so you and Derek could jump at the same time. Oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. Backflipping also sounds like fun. I'm gonna say you offered your hand to Derek so you could jump at the same time, because that does sound like a very mean thing to do. Oh! He's blushing! Oh my god, that's adorable! He's blushing! Derek accepted your hand eagerly, and you ran towards the edge of the pool together.
Whoa.
You leapt and flailed your legs for a split second. Derek lifted your arms into the air and kicked a foot out before you landed in the water. You stretched out and reached up towards the surface, parting your arms to paddle over to dry ground. Derek was laughing, obviously, boisterously. I'm sorry, I don't know what this word is. This game needs smaller words. It was his turn. By the curve of his grin and the lift of his chin, he looked to be in a mood to impress. His eyebrows drew together in a deep furrow as he considered his launch. Derek took a few bouncing steps to the edge, jumping up and tucked his body in. Unlike his previous cannonball, the energy went into spin and he flipped, making a full rotation before he crashed through the surface. Water droplets from the splash dazzled you as they exploded out from his impact. He swam under the water and only came back to the surface after you reached the wall of the pool. He snatched his hand up to the top tiles and pushed himself up so that his hips were even with the edge. He twisted and practically rolled out of the pool from there. You're up! Okay. Belly flop. Well, he showed up. Well, he showed off, so we're not gonna do the same thing. You backflipped into the pool. You planted your feet solidly at the ground. Not fancying the water, you bent your legs and prepared. You swung your arms back just like a pendulum. You swung them forward. The moment you had your hand past your knee, you jumped backwards. You tucked your body in tight as you turned all the way around before you hit the water.
Whoa!
That was awesome! You kept switching back and forth, trading off between silly jumps, then more impressive turns. From watching Derek's well-practiced dives to performing your own jump, there was never a boring second. After several leaps, Derek called a break time, and you took a breather. You took a breather at the back of the stairs to the pool. You waited for your strained heart to rate. You waited for your strained heart rate to even out from the exertion. After a pause of silence, Derek spoke up. He pulled his fist to his chest and thought squishing his face slightly.
So...
Hey, I probably should have asked before, but have you babysat someone before? I've babysat my younger cousins back when they were itty bitty children. They were so cute, and they were such little shits, but I adored them. No, is it bad? Does babysitting a dog count? I have also puppy sat. I'm gonna say, does babysitting a dog count? Derek chuckled and slapped his knee. Nicholas is above any puppy, but that's still something. But I'll be right there if anything goes down. He shrugged. At least his brothers probably wouldn't start chewing on random things. Right? Well, Nicholas might. He's 6! I believe is what they said. In spite of all the times I've said I don't want kids, I'm pretty decent with them, so I'm gonna say you were eager to take the job. He wanted to give Derek some assistance, and watching his brother sounded fun. After the interlude, you both continued to enjoy yourselves and your freedom until a little beeping alarm went off. That's time! Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some water. Alright. I have returned. Bow down Cuéntame, motorlas. He made his way to the lounge chair with his stuff and dug out a small portable clock. It buzzed until he found the stop button. Derek checked the time and narrowed his eyes at the glowing red numbers. He shot you a thumbs up.
Let's go.
Let's go up. Oops, forgot to transparent this. There we go. You helped him gather the towels, grab the rest of the stuff, and then try to drip as little as possible while rushing through the halls of the complex. When you reached his apartment, he dumped everything in his arms on the ground and scrambled to find his key. Just give me a second. I don't want to knock or anything in case Nicholas is still asleep. He finally spied his soccer ball keychain and snatched it from his keys from where they were tangled in his towel. He inserted the key into the lock and both of you shuffled inside the Schwarz home. Three heads swiveled to face the two of you. Faces being drawn to the boundless of neon towels coming in. Mr. Schwarz and George were sitting on bar stools, while Nicholas perched on the counter itself with an excited grin. They were working on a puzzle. That's wholesome. Hi, baby. Who's my good boy? On your left, Derek leaned closer and spoke under his breath. He's awake. God, you guys see why I love Nicholas? He's just so cute. He gets so excited whenever he sees Derek, and it's so wholesome. Quick as the blink, Nicholas scrambled on his hands and feet and stepped across the black marble of the counter. Any cardboard puzzle pieces scattered. Nicholas, the puzzle! Despite George's frustration, the little whirlwind didn't seem to hear. He was on a mission to reach his bigger brother, not even stopping when he hit the end of the counter. Nicholas stumbled off the edge and Derek instinctively moved forward with a gasp, dropping all of his cool stuff except for the towel wrapped around him. Mr. Schwarz caught Nicholas with his forearm, hooking around his chest, snatching him from midair. Oh, it's Mrs. Schwarz. I thought it was Mr. Schwarz. Oh, they were hanging out with their mom. I just can't fucking read. Oof. She hugged her son, holding him securely against her body. A chorus of relieved sighs filled the room. Nicholas still paid no mind to his trail of disaster and began to squirm. He just wanted down already. Derek took another few steps forward, making his way over to the scene. Mr. Schwarz carefully held Nicholas out. Mrs. Schwarz carefully held out Nicholas, her hands under his armpits, and safely sat him down on his feet. Nicholas immediately wrapped his arms around Derek's legs. Derek chuckled while tugging up at his towel so Nicholas wouldn't pull it off. Hold on, Nico, you're gonna get wet! Oh. Nothing is cuter than sweet sibling love. Nicholas giggled mischievously and snuggled closer. Derek snuck a quick peek over his shoulder back at you and shrugged. Just as warned, Nicholas had now a dance splotch on his shirt. Hi, everybody. You told Nicholas he'd worry you. You told Nicholas he'd worry you. You asked George if his puzzle was alright. Nicholas, I'm gonna say, Nicholas, I'm here too, you know. You smiled at Nicholas, trying to make it obvious that you were joking. He didn't respond. Instead, just continued to launch on Derek.
Wow.
Oh my god. He's such a cute little brother. Mrs. Schwartz's tone was warm with a certain amount of humor to it. She rubbed her hands together and stood up. Derek and Salem are in charge now. Make sure you listen to them. George sourly picked at the puzzle pieces, but gave a grumbled noise to signify he had heard. I'm going to head off to my appointment. She went to gather some things, officially putting you and Derek in charge, but there wasn't 1 second to settle your new position. We're gonna go swimming? Nicholas looked up and stared with huge shining eyes. Derek reflexively stiffened. How would he escape this puppy dog look? Derek's eyebrows creased, a small sign of nerves compared to the smooth placating on the sound of his voice. No, even better. He leaned down and lowered his voice like he was about to share a secret.
I've got a plan.
We're going to the park. Nicholas instantly frowned. He wasn't convinced by Derek's act. He grabbed at Derek's towel. You were swimming! Yeah, but I'm not anymore. I'm going to the park. You can come with me. The littlest Schwartz whined and stomped his foot. His hand balled up around the neon fabric partially enough to he almost took the towel from Derek. I want to go to the pool. I want to see Salem's swimsuit. Why do you want to see my swimsuit? What? Derek's jaw dropped. Neither. What the hell did I just read? Derek's jaw dropped. Neither of you were prepared for that one. Yeah. Did you hear that right? You look down at yourself, currently wrapped in a fuzzy towel. You watched your gaze to Derek's younger brother, your brain trying to make sense of what was happening. Well, why would you want that? Why does Nicholas want anything? Derek rolled his eyes and continued mumbling into the counter. It was obvious to him, and he couldn't believe the rest of you were taking so long to catch up. Because Derek does. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? I am so lost! I am beyond lost right now. You felt something. You couldn't help but feel amused. You suddenly felt extremely lost. You know, I would probably just be like completely frozen and just going the fuck, the fuck, the fuck, the fuck, and most importantly, the fuck. Derek narrowed his eyes and whispered harshly,
Seriously?
Nicholas, George, gonna put me into an early grave. He took a deep breath as he stared at the ceiling. It took him a moment to face you. His voice was firm for someone at his level of embarrassment. I must have said something about hoping you'd remember to bring your swimsuit. I was excited for us to be able to swim, so I didn't want you to have one. Nicholas does not actually want to see you in a swimsuit. He doesn't even know why he'd want that. He's just saying stuff. You ran the explanation over in your head a couple of times. Derek seemed sincere, and it definitely made the whole thing less shocking. You snuck another look at Nicholas. He crossed his arms high on his chest and squished his neck down far enough to rest his chin on his wrist. I want to go swimming! His pout intensified when he said it again. He was a very angry little baby. Derek tilted back on his heels once again, driven to look at the ceiling by the strain of this kid. You glanced up there yourself without thinking about it. It was a calm white color with a few light fixtures. When you squinted, you noticed something small and green. It appears to be one of those sticky hands for kids. Was this another present from the youngest Schwarz? You turned back into Derek. You turned back into Derek. He appeared to have made a decision. All right, I promise you can go swimming too, but only after the park. We'll go to the pool as soon as we come back. With the promise officially made, Nicholas lit up. He snatched one of Derek's hands. Let's go! We gotta go to the park so I can swim! While Nicholas celebrated, Derek closed his eyes, and some of the worried creases on his face smoothed out. Derek? There's lunch packed in the fridge. Dad will be back before dinner. Gotcha. Thanks, Mom.
Have a good one.
Mrs. Schwarz waved and collected the last of her things. Her purse off the side of the table. She ruffled George's hair on the way out. You and Derek were alone with the kids. We're doomed! We really should stop leaving pebbles everywhere. He gestured at the drops of water pooling at his feet. Good idea. You and Derek took turns changing. You went first, while you could faintly hear Derek impressing on his brothers to listen to you too. You must have convinced them to behave for now, as neither George nor Nicholas acted up with Derek when Derek took his turn drying off and clothing himself. Can you get our lunch from the fridge? I'm gonna pack my gear. No problem. You walked casually into the kitchen. George hadn't moved from his bar stool even once since you'd gotten back. Meanwhile, Nicholas followed Derek like a possessed shadow that was even more energetic than the original. He zipped around, occasionally trying to place things in Derek's backpack for him. So far, Derek had said no to the rubber duck. He agreed to bring an extra pair of socks that Nicholas had determined were absolutely necessary. Okay, got everything. Derek returned with a backpack in one hand and Nicholas's small hands in the other. We're going, George. Ready, Salem? I'm pretty sure. He pushed away from the counter and finally hopped off his chair with the enthusiasm of a plank of wood. We're going! Derek hid his smile at Nicholas's echo and ushered everyone outside. He locked the condo behind him, and he began the trip to the nearby park. The park for the Schwartz boys was the big park for your family. Their condo complex was only a short distance to the public outdoor recreational area your mom sometimes drove you to. It was still a beautiful day outside, and it had only gotten a few degrees warmer from your moving swim. The field was bustling with other groups of people enjoying themselves. Derek led the way to a wide open part of the grass that no one else was used to. He stepped in the middle of the field and turned 180 degrees to face the little boys behind him. He shrugged his backpack off to his shoulders and dropped it to the ground. He kneeled down to root around inside it. George and Nicholas waited in place for their brother. Derek gathered a couple of things in his arms before pushing off the ground with his need to get up again. He held the football in his left hand and a soccer ball in his right. Alright, Nicholas, George, I've got to practice, but you can too. Which do you want to do? Which do you want?
Okay.
Football. Real ball! You raised an eyebrow at the shouts. Derek leaned over to you and whispered with a laugh. He means soccer ball. It's real ball because it's actually ball shaped. Is that a problem? They want both. Derek simply grinned. I thought so too. He tossed George the football first. George caught it from the air with one hand and began to bounce it up and down in his fingers, feeling the weight of it. Derek popped the soccer ball gently over to Nicholas, who watched his brother intently. Nicholas had to catch it with both hands. He wrapped his arms around the ball and hugged it to his chest. Ah! Why is he such a little bean? He's too precious for this world. And with his brothers taken care of, Derek crouched again to reveal a third ball. He'd brought a second soccer ball. Derek had been prepared. Then he sprung back to his feet. Another problem diverted. George, Nicholas, you can use half the field. I'll use that half. Salem, you can be our ref. So don't get too far from her. All right? Okay. George tossed his football in the air, preoccupied. Spun in an arc downward. Alright! I'm gonna practice! Nicholas embraced his soccer ball tighter, pressing his cheek onto it. You wondered how he'd practice with the equipment was about when the equipment was about as big as his head. Such a tiny little boy. child looked completely content with the world, but Derek's eyes narrowed. Once again, he shared some Nicholas info in your ear. Watch him. It's not over. He copies what I say, but it's not what he means. You snuck a peek at Nicholas. He appeared so innocent, clutching the ball and staring at a patch of clover in the grass. But you'd interact with him enough to not question his potential for trouble. You'd make sure to keep an eye on the kid. I will.
Thank you.
Thanks, Salem! You're a lifesaver! Derek held his soccer ball in both hands and cheered. Bye, bros! Bye! Bye, bro! Derek put a smile as he picked up his bag, tucked his soccer ball under an arm, and jogged to his side of the field. He didn't have time to lose. He stood up with the younger Schwarzbars, effectively turned loose. George stared at you with uncertainty while Nicholas' mischievous smirk could only make you guess what he was thinking. You weren't going to make Mr. and Mrs. Schwarz regret letting you come, and you especially weren't going to disappoint Derek. You were going to watch those boys. Time to be in charge. I'm gonna play over there. He pointed vaguely to the opposite side of the field from Derek and trotted off to entertain himself. You let him go without argument. George wasn't the problem child. Yeah, George, do what you want. Just, here's a box of matches. Go nuts! When you saw him settle in, throwing around his football and chasing it, you smiled. You would only need to manage Nicholas. You aimed your gun towards him, but instead of being in the clover patch, he was missing. You snapped your head back and forth until you spotted him fumbling dash across the grass, struggling to keep a soccer ball from slipping out of his small arms. Derek said, "Watch him." He had really meant it. Maybe chasing puppies around had prepared you for this after all. Hey, come back here, young man! Nicholas, stop! You ran over without another word. You ran over and picked him up. Yep. Even with your longer legs, it was still tricky to catch the kids. He shrieked and laughed when you plucked him off the grass. The soccer ball fumbled from his arms. He reached for it with all of his might, stretching his arms, kicking his legs for momentum. You couldn't contain him, so you carefully placed him back on his feet before he could fall. Then you kicked the ball back to him and suggested playing. Hey, Nicholas, you're hanging out with me, just like Derek does. You're totally overwhelmed. Oh, no, let's play with the kid. Let's play. I'm gonna get it. He squealed at the idea. Oh, God, this kid is so precious. He's a little menace, but he's so precious. He chased the ball, determined to beat you to it. You wound up to kick it. He overshot the angle of his foot and the ball bounced off awkwardly. Then you were the one after the soccer ball. It didn't go that far. You let Nicholas get it again so he could continue to gradually kick the ball across the field. He sent some strands of grass onto the air with the ball on his second go. Darn, I'm gonna get you! Nicholas crackled while bumping the ball along. No, I'm gonna win! When you next got close to the soccer ball, he switched strategies. Nicholas grabbed it in his hands so he could simply run for it. That's not how soccer works! It's mine! This fucking kid! You laughed at his blatant rule breaking and started running after Nicholas directly. The only time your gaze strayed from the little Schwars was when you blinked or sent the occasional glance George's way. Moon Ghost, hello, welcome, how are you? George continued to enjoy his time at the park without any need for assistance. So you spent most of your energy on the Mischief Maker. Mischief Maker? I got nothing. And after smoothing out... Damn, phone, okay. And after smoothing out the initial bump of the afternoon, things evened out. At least things were fine until the trial known as lunch arrived. It started with the reappearance of Derek. His presence sent Nicholas into hyperdrive. He bounced on the tips of his toes and waved both his hands frantically. Derek's back! Derek's back! Oh god, I love this. He tackled his older brother and launched around Derek's left leg. George, like half the entire park, noticed the shout. He jogged over to see if a very important update was happening without him. Derek winked. Hey, bros!
What's up?
Hi, Salem. I hope you're doing alright. As he spoke, he let his bag drop to the ground. He crouched over it and scrounged up the packed lunches. Oh yeah, that's just great. You know what? This actually does sound like it'd be fun. I'm having fun. That's awesome. He beamed back at him. Despite being a handful, you were enjoying Nicholas. He kept you on your toes. Are you having fun, Nicholas? Yeah! Me too. What about you, George? Derek set aside 3 paper bags on the grass, one in front of Nicholas, another next to George, and the third went to you. Derek kept the 4th lunch inside of his backpack. He only pulled a water bottle out from it and closed the bag up.
Okay.
Okay, Nicholas, you've got to eat it now with Salem and George. Nicholas clenched Derek's jeans more desperately as he whined. You're not gonna eat with me? Derek scratched the back of his head and gave a longing glance back to where he'd been practicing. You mind, Salem? I was hoping I'd had more time to practice. He bit his lip, hope clear on his face. He had confidence that he could handle lunch alone. Just eat lunch too? I'll handle it. Okay. Sure, good luck with your practice. You're doing okay, so you decide. I'm gonna say, you should really eat lunch too. I'll be fine. I promise. Nicholas's whimpering never stopped being high-pitched background noise. Derek ruffled his hair. Hey, check this out! He picked up Nicholas's soccer ball and placed it on top of his own head. Nicholas's jaw dropped theatrically as Derek fully stood up while keeping it balanced. Nicholas peered and jumped up and down, still holding onto Derek's leg. Derek bent his knees and plopped down as fast enough to launch the ball in the air. He caught it. He got it on his head again. Nicholas let go of his brother to clap. Derek grinned at Nicholas, but his gaze looked to you for a second. The show over, Derek inclined his head and let the soccer ball drop onto his hands. He held it out to Nicholas. Make sure to eat lunch, okay? Then you can go back to practicing. Okay! Nicholas spoke into the soccer ball he had cuddled onto his face. He'd been starstruck enough that he couldn't disagree with anything his biggest brother said. Eric waved at you and George before heading off to where he left his soccer ball, carrying only the water bottle with him. George promptly took his seat in the grass by the lunch bag. Nicholas put the soccer ball on his head. It immediately rolled off. He just tried again. He reached over the lunches. Each bag had a clearly written name in black marker ink. George collected his bag. You had yours, and you attempted to give the last one to its proper owner. But Nicholas showed zero interest in the bag. You mentioned he would have been more interested in Derek's lunch bag, even though they probably had the same meals. George scoffed, knowing his brother was going to be difficult again. He took a sandwich from his bag. From the looks alone, you guessed it was sliced deli turkey, a pale colored cheese, and some veggies. But Nicholas clearly busy, you took a sandwich out for him. The sandwich was ham and some sort of orangey cheese, cheddar almost certainly. You offered the food directly to Nicholas. He still didn't bite. He wanted to play. How would I help you eat while you practice? Nicholas, if you want to play, then you have to eat. You eat, I'll hold the ball on your head for you, deal? Nicholas chewed on the inside of the cheek while he carefully contemplated your suggestion. Then the focused look melted into a bright smile. Oh, precious bean! Precious little bean! Precious little bean cake! He gave you a determined nod when he was ready to switch. Your fingers fanned out as you reached out for the ball and pressed it down to his messy mop of hair. Thank you for streaming, Kitty. I have to get ready for work. Take care. See you later, Capitos. Have a good day. Nicholas cautiously released the ball, and you kept it firmly in place. He giggled ecstatically that he finally found a way to keep the ball up without using his hand. It just took another person to do it. You retrieved his sandwich and immediately stuffed a big bite into his cheek. Chuckling, you glanced over at what George was doing. Luckily, he didn't need a hand like his big brother. He was already enjoying his packed lunch, so you decided not to squander the opportunity. You retrieved your own sandwich with your free hand and dug in. It was definitely an interesting way to enjoy a meal break. Finishing the last corner of your square-shaped meal, you wondered if Mrs. Schwarz had talked to one of your moms beforehand about lunch. The sandwich was made how you would have had it at home. Why are they small? George is 10 years old and Nicholas is 6. Derek is 13, but he just happens to be really, really short. She was either prepared or very lucky, but considering what her oldest son was like, you were guessing luck had nothing to do with it. Along with the sandwiches, there were also bags of carrots, celery, and a few cookies between the three of you. It wasn't long before all the snacks were gone. With nothing left to nibble on, Nicholas yawned and curled up in the grass, cuddling the soccer ball against his chest. George stood up watching his little brother fall asleep. Once he was certain that Nicholas was down for the count, he started cleaning up the trash. He admired the maturity he showed for his age. It wasn't just Derek who had the streak after all. You helped gather the trash while musing about the Schwartz brothers. Shark Kings, let's go. Derek gets really tall later. Derek was the oldest, and who his parents relied on, while Nicholas was the baby of the family. And for a little kid, he was a force to be reckoned with. George was the one who stuck in the George was the one stuck in the middle. Seriously, thank you for helping me out with this. Thanks for being such a good kid to babysit. Yeah, I saw your football throw earlier. It was really good. I'm gonna say thank you for helping me with this. George almost dropped the plastic baggies and used napkins he was collecting between his fingers, but he managed to regain hold of everything before it fell. He didn't know how to respond to your gratitude, and the longer he stood there staring at you, the more his blush darkened. Can't relate with Derek then. Yeah, Derek gets really tall later. He doesn't get as tall as Cove, but he does get pretty tall. Like, I'm pretty sure in the game, Cove is the tallest character. Embarrassed, he quickly pivoted back to what he was doing before. He left the subject there, but thought he deserved more praise. The park suddenly felt empty when Nicholas was asleep. He took up a lot of space despite his tiny size. Chuckling to yourself, you found a comfortable spot in the grass and scanned the area for Derek. You eventually caught sight of him running in the distance. Even from here, you could tell that Derek was persistent about his practice. He went back and forth, repeating the same set of moves, reassessing and refining his form every time. So it wasn't long before he paused to wipe his brow with his black wristband. Derek happened to glance your way at that moment and realized he had an audience of one. He gave you a huge wave with both his hands that required he cross his arms over his head. And before you knew it, Derek's strides were bringing him back over to you and his brothers.
Phew.
That's it. I'm gonna be done with practice. I'm back. Welcome back. Thanks for watching George and Nicholas. I didn't mean for it to be so long. You owe me one, not promptly. Yeah, I finally get to be the big sibling. I feel like an old-timer parent now. Okay, I'm happy I can help you. You owe me one. I'm gonna say, hey, I finally got to be the big sibling. It was cool. The nonchalant way you put it like it was a role to easily step in and out of had Derek laughing hard. As he collected himself, he rubbed the back of his neck. And then I'm glad I could lend you that for a while. Next, he shifted his attention over to his brother. George gave a little wave. He'd been waiting patiently for his brothers to wrap up his conversation with you. We're back! George simply got up, not needing any more guidance, while Derek kneeled into the grass and nudged Nicholas out of dreamland. A single eye cracked open at first, and then they both popped open when he realized who was with him. Such a precious little bean. Nicholas sprang off the ground, wrapping his arms around his big brother like a vice grip and nuzzled into his chest. Derek gave Nicholas a head. Gave Nicholas a head. Nicholas's head a single pat. There. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Who's a good donkey?
Let's go.
Practice was good today. Let's go home.
Let's go home.
Nicholas's hushed voice echoing his brother's put a warm smile on your face. Surveying the area, you made sure that nothing would be accidentally left behind. Then you breathed in a sigh of relief. You made it through your first time solo babysitting. Although Derek was technically still nearby the whole time, so it wasn't completely solo. But you weren't bothered by that. Derek trusted you with his sibling, and they were both still in one piece. Their leadership, no one got lost, injured, swallowed. Well, with your leadership, no one got lost, injured, swallowed something they shouldn't have, or even declared that they hated you for eternity. So in your book, you'd say it went fairly well. The 15-minute walk back from the park passed by pleasantly. The late afternoon sun fell behind you. Behind you in your shadows soon stretched across the sidewalk. You wiggled your fingers and then exaggerated your hand's movement in order to watch the shadow change. Meanwhile, next to you, Derek was finally eating his lunch. Although he had to eat his sandwich with the hand Nicholas wasn't clasping on tightly. Although he had to eat a sandwich with the hand Nicholas wasn't clasping tightly onto. George entertained himself with the football he still carried. He periodically tossed it into the air and caught it again. You could easily imagine how often the three of them had made this trip before with only the three of them, but you didn't feel out of place strolling alongside the group. It felt natural. Beaming, you found your gaze settling on Derek again. You knew without a doubt that the way you felt was because of him. He was good at making you feel welcome. In time, you made it back safely, and Derek dropped his bag on the floor with a quiet sigh of relief. Any hope he had to take things easy for a second immediately evaporated. Oh no!
We're going to the pool as soon as we come back.
Nicholas's joy was palpable, parroting back Derek's promise from earlier in the day. As the words dawned on him, Derek closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Yep, we are. Get ready. And that was all the approval Nicholas and George needed. They both dashed off to their shared bedroom to get changed. Derek sluggishly opened his eyes, but his tiredness softened when he looked at you.
It's okay.
Practice is done. You want to stay up here until your mom's come and get you, that's cool. Derek gave you a partial shrug and then ran a hand through his hair shyly. You don't have to go swimming again. I'm gonna say, but I want to hang out with you. The tips of his ears burned red at your declaration, but he didn't turn away from you. He spoke cheerily instead. Thanks. Me too, Salem. It wasn't much longer before the younger kids came running out to rejoin you and Derek. They both wore neon-colored swimsuits and had towels wrapped around their shoulders.
Awesome.
Good job! Good job! You even remembered your floaty vest, Nicholas! Derek kneeled down to make sure that the safety device was properly secured. Nicholas stood tall with his chest out proudly. He didn't fear the scrutinization. I did the straps for him. Perfect. Thanks. George brightened just as his younger brother had. Standing back up, Derek shifted his attention to you. Same quick change strategy from earlier? Yeah. You darted off to get changed first. Derek nodded seriously when you returned to take over for him. You emerged a couple minutes later and diligently went over to the counter to write something down. Curious, you inched closer. Just gotta leave a note so Dad knows where we are, then we can go. Oh, sounds good. Everything was squared away, as Derek was always sure to do, and the four of you marched right back to the apartment, back out of the apartment for another excursion. By the time the distinct smell of chlorine tickled your nose, the sun had fallen low in the sky. You circled around some nearby lounge chairs and deemed them capable of keeping your things safe. Inspecting the gleaming water, you noticed that George and Nicholas hadn't moved towards the pool yet. Both of the little boys were watching Derek like hawks. You picked up enough this afternoon to know it was because George didn't want to do anything without permission, and Nicholas didn't want to do anything Derek wasn't doing.
I'm on it.
Here I go! And Derek himself knew it too. He didn't keep them waiting. Derek offered his brothers an encouraging wave and stood over the pool. Oh no, we're beating him to the water. Fuck that! You ran to beat him in. Racing past Derek, you caught bits of a gasp and roaring laughter. You couldn't tell what sounds belonged to whom before you threw yourself off the edge and crashed into the water. Seconds later, you felt the impact of another person piercing the water beside you. Derek. He stayed under while you went up for air. The other Schwarr sons followed George, jumped without any hesitation, but Nicholas sped right to the edge only to come to an abrupt stop. His toes curled around the edge of the pool. His lips were pressed into a tight frown. Nicholas tipped his head and stared down at the water, clutching his hands together. He was scared to jump. Nicholas would rather the pool come the rest of the way to him, but he wasn't being a good sport. Derek and George popped out of the water with matching wide grins and droplets clinging to the tips of their hair. Neither of them were surprised that they were missing their baby brother. Because why would they? Alright! Woo! Alright! That was awesome! Nicholas's cry for help came on an tiny, impatient squeak. He began wiggling in place. Derek chuckled and swam over to a shallow spot. The 6-year-old followed closely, toddling along the edge. When his feet touched the pool's solid bottom, Derek stood up. He kindly held out his arms out towards his brother. Oh no, the pool stole the kid.
This is gonna be great.
Come on in, Nico. The water's fine. Trusting him completely, Nicholas let go of his fear. He took a step over the side and walked into his favorite person's hole. Derek embraced Nicholas as he dropped against his chest. Then Derek slowly lowered him into the water before he completely let his little brother go. No, Nico didn't go missing. He was just kind of scared to get in. Nicholas bobbed under with a small splash and broke out again in an instant Nicholas bobbed under with a small splash and broke out again in an instant like a buoy. He was bursting at the seams with excitement. Nicholas made the most of his new floating freedom by dog paddling around the shallow end. Checking on George, you noticed he was sticking to the center of the pool. He bounced himself from the floor to the surface for air and then pushed back down to do it again. He leapt all around in a circle. Derek rested an arm across the pool's edge and took a moment to watch his brothers too. He swam over to Derek and settled against the wall. With him. Closed your eyes and sighed. The water's temperature was pleasantly warm against the cooling evening air. Derek kept his main focus on his family, though he spent a moment to tilt his head in your direction. A few beads of water trailed from his hairline down the sides of his jaw. Babysitting went as well as you thought, huh? Yeah, I think it went pretty well.
Honestly,
My brothers are fun. Some of the time. He chuckled at his own joke and ran a damp hand down his face to try getting at least some of the water off. The final rays of sunlight cast a warm glow on his skin, and the pool sparkled as he finally turned his attention directly towards you. He felt toastier all of a sudden, like someone had pulled the sun back up to the center of the sky. Derek's mouth turned into his usual wonderful smile. I don't know what I'd do without them. No adult supervision? We are the adults! Okay, we're 13, but still, we're the adults until our parents come back. I think they're great. You sound like a frat dad. Well, George is good, but Nicholas is trouble with a capital T. You know what I'm gonna say? I think Nicholas is here than all the other Schwarzes. His nose wrinkled at his surprise, morphed into an infectious laugh that pulled you into. He smirked. I'm not sure what to say to that because you're probably right. Nicholas is adorable. George and Nicholas remained engrossed with their own watery adventures while you and Derek kept track of them. You were in mid-conversation when the sound of footsteps echoed off the small walls surrounding the pool. Derek shot an arm out of the water and waved at the newcomer. Dad!
Good evening.
Dad! Yeah, Derek and our character are currently 13. And then Daddy came. Dad? All the Schwarzborgs equally paddled over to the pool where their father stood. They moved together in the water with their heads beside each other and their legs kicked out behind them like a pile of sea pups.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Mr. Schwarz's voice was sweet as he observed his children's happy faces. Eventually he spotted you as well, and he tucked his fingers into the edge of his vest with vigor. Oh, this is a pool party today. You know, a party should have the proper food. Let's order pizza for dinner tonight. Ooh, heck yeah! Give me some of that pizza. Yeah! Yeah! Save me some. Yeah! Laughing with excitement, Nicholas started smacking the palms of his hands against the water surface, making several bursting splashes. Such a cute baby. George flicked the droplets from the tips of his fingers at Nicholas in retaliation. Chuckling over the scene, Mr. Schwarz brought a hand up and held onto his chin. He scratched at his beard with his thumb. Half cheese, half pepperoni for the first, correct? Yes! Pepperoni! Nicholas threw both of his arms in the air as he cheered. Mr. Schwarz nodded, pleased. His littlest one still having predictable taste.
Wonderful.
Okay, and meat and veggie supreme for Irene and I on the second. He settled his gaze on Derek and you for the final session. Suggestions of what the final half should be? Salem? You pick. Slided over closer to Derek as he thought about it. Fish! More cheese, more pepperoni, more supreme, all veggies. Hawaiian pizza, heck yeah! Hawaiian! Derek gave you a thumbs up for that.
So
in full, half cheese, half pepperoni, half supreme, and half Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, children. I'll put the order in now. I'll come back to let you know when it's ready. But until then, continue to play. Yes, I am that weirdo that likes pineapple on pizza. Sue me! Thanks, Dad. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dad. Bye, Mr. Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz closed the pool gate behind him, leaving you kids to your fun. In Mr. Schwartz's absence, Derek took charge again. Alright, you heard it. Dad's ordering pizza, so it'll be here in like 30 minutes. So think fast. What's the last thing you want to do before we leave the pool? Marco Polo! Nicholas furrowed his brow, thinking hard as he could. He scrunched his face together in frustration when nothing came to mind. Meanwhile, George put a hand on his chin. He tilted his head to the side. He stared up and off into space. He considered the question. You'll have to try the egg and kiss aside. While they were distracted, you made the first dragon a splash pad. Heck yeah! The younger Schwarz brothers may have been unsure or overwhelmed with how they wanted to spend their remaining pool time. But you weren't. You knew exactly what you wanted to do. Be the evil little menace that is me. Kitten. The best feline ever. With the cutest Scottish fold ears. You subtly angled your position in the water, carefully deciding your plan of attack. The corner of your mouth bent, and you flung a mighty splash towards Derek. He ended up with a full face of water, and he sputtered before shaking it off with laughter. He regained his composure. Derek brushed a hand down his face to wipe some droplets away. Salem, I'm sure you're aware what this means. Derek's stare narrowed with a fierce amused look of determination. You matched, and it gave an added slow nod. I believe I do.
It's on.
This means war. He swiftly sent a shot of water in your direction. Nicholas cackled at your exchange and started to excitedly beat the water's surface and sent droplets crashing in all directions. You twisted away from their attack, and the second the water settled, you struck. Pushing your hands forward, you sent another big wave rushing towards the brothers. Derek sent splashes with both hands on each of his sides, juggling you and Nicholas. Nicholas pooled water, cupping in his hands, and he threw it into the air. Droplets carelessly poured down on everyone. Nicholas was dangerous in this fight. He was willing to take a hit to get a hit. The four of you, George enacted the best defense strategy. They're gonna get married near a pool. Unfortunately, Derek and Baxter are not going to have wedding stories, and it makes me sad because they deserve them. I love Derek and I love Baxter. They deserve the same amount of love that was put into Cove's character. He took a deep breath and held it while he slid under the water. Only his hands remained at the surface, and they rapidly splashed in all directions. George's strategy kept you on your toes in order to avoid a scatter shot. Whenever he came up for air, Derek made sure to be ready to take the shot. It was a grand battle. The four of you thoroughly enjoyed your time at the pool. It flew by so fast that you were surprised when you spotted Mr. Schwartz cruising down the water's edge once more. Dinner's here! And even better, Mom's home! The youngest Schwartz threw his wet confetti into the air one more time. Even if his dad wasn't safe from it, Mr. Schwartz took it in stride and wiped his glasses against his vest. Hello, how are you? Eric was out of breath, but he beamed. Let's go get some food! Yeah! Mr. Schwartz led the way to the apartment, and the four of you kids marched. The four of you kids. I love how this is written like the person who wrote this section was just so freaking old. Like, darn kids. Anyways, Mr. Schwartz led the way to the apartment, and the four of you kids marched with an eager spring in your steps. Despite being wrapped in towels, you dripped water the whole way there. The savory smell of hot cheese and garlic crust was the way to greet you when you arrived at the door. You could hear the musical words of Mrs. Schwartz too. You know what? Let me grab a book, because me not being able to... Do I not have my katakana book? Okay, guess I'm gonna have to go with this book since apparently I forgot to pack it when I moved. Yes, I have a Japanese study book. What I want is katakana, not hiragana. Hiragana uses and rules. Okay. Like I said, what I want is katakana, not hiragana. Nope. Nope, that's... Okay, hiragana. I know that one's ah. On... So, Anna... No, it's not that. It's definitely not that. Oh, Oh, Ame. Ame. Oh, would it be go? Ame go? Wait, Ame. Ah, forgot what the Tenten would turn the toe into. Would it be? Would it be Ame go? When did you move? I didn't? Wait, what do you mean? Ame. I could grab my chart, but it's really big, so I'd rather not. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's toe. I may go. Wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be go? Ame. Oh! Wait, no. Or maybe it's dough. Ame-do? I don't know. It's been a while since I don't know why. The savory smell of hot cheese and garlic crust was there to greet you when you arrived at the door. You could hear the musical words of Mrs. Schwartz, too.
Welcome.
Welcome home. Hi! Hi, Mom!
Hi.
Hi, Mom! Feeling a bit awkward and out of place, you gave a tiny wave to Mrs. Schwartz. Feeling a bit awkward, you gave a tiny wave. Mrs. Schwartz didn't miss it, and her voice softened as she spoke to you first. Hello, Salem. I hope you had fun today. I did. We had lots of fun!
That's great.
Very good. Mrs. Schwartz then went over to the kitchen where the food was set on the counter. She popped the boxes open and delightedly glanced over her husband. This was such a good idea. Thank you. Mr. Schwartz dipped his head in a tiny bow. He followed that by gesturing a hand towards the food.
Well then.
Come get dinner. Come get dinner, youngest to oldest. Despite the order given, it was no surprise that George was the one who moved first. You figure Nicholas would wait for Derek even if he didn't have to. George tore off a paper towel from the roll and used it to grab a slice of plain cheese pizza. He hot-footed it back over the entryway, standing there, so he wouldn't bring water any further into the apartment. You can go next, Salem. It'll be easier that way. Food smelled even better up close. Now we're grabbing the Hawaiian. That's what we wanted. You hurried back to the entryway with your dinner. Derek went next, tiptoeing over Nicholas at his heels. He grabbed a slice of pepperoni and passed it to Nicholas. Derek then grabbed a slice of pepperoni for himself, but instead of going to the entryway, he went to open a space. He went to an open space on the floor. He curiously watched Derek laid his towel on the floor, then sat down on it, crossing his legs. Nicholas plopped down on the towel right next to him and started on one of his pizza crust corners. You decided to stay standing with George. You decided to sit on your towel instead. Why not? That's a good idea. You followed Derek's example and laid on your towel on the floor with cheeks stuffed with pizza. Derek gave you the cheeriest closed-mouthed smile he could. Finally, Mr. and Mrs. Schwartz got their slices of pizza. They stood in the living room between the spots, and they stood in the living room and the spots. They stood in the living room in between the spots their sons had taken. So, how did you spend your day while you were out? And of course my body is twisted. There we go. We did lots of things. In between taking bites of pizza, the Schwartz family started taking turns telling stories about their day. Nicholas recounted the events of the day with the most enthusiasm, even though they were the same plot points from his brother's stories and the ones you witnessed firsthand. From his perspective, the events were almost mythically amazing. Storytelling was hungry work, so the slices didn't last long. The food was chipped away piece by piece until everyone was stuffed. Nicholas laid down on the floor, limbs stretched out and still wrapped in his towel. He was completely tuckered from the day. Mr. Schwartz plucked him up off the floor and held him in one arm. Bath time! Come on, Junior!
Yes, Dad.
Nicholas accepted his fate and his arms limped down. George crumpled up his paper towel into a ball and tossed it in the trash. He followed his dad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giorgio. Mrs. Schwartz watched them go with gentle affection in her gaze. She patted her husband's shoulder as he passed by and then strolled over to you and Derek. And thank you for a good day's work. I appreciate you taking care of Nicholas and George today. Her cheeriness reminded you so much of Derek. She pointed with her thumb over her shoulder. Dad and I will take them from here. Thanks, Mom. You could see the wave of relief wash over him as clearly as the actual water you had just swam in. I'll keep an eye out for the phone. Pamela said she'd call when they're on their way to get here, Salem. Okay. After that, Mrs. Schwartz excused herself to go help get George and Nicholas ready for bedtime. When she disappeared down the hall, Derek leaned back on the palms of his hands. He lazily rolled his head in your direction.
Hey.
We can get dressed again. Then would you want to hang out in my room until your mom gets here? Yeah, let's do that. You can get changed first. He stretched out his legs out on the floor while you stood up. You could feel a slight ache in your muscles from today's activities. It wasn't bad. You'd given your all during your babysitting adventure. Gathering your things in your arms, you left to get changed. It wasn't long before you and Derek went over to his rooms for some sibling-less free time. Derek opened his bedroom door and gestured for you to lead the way. You went in while he followed close behind, shutting the door once more. This is such a jock bedroom. Your eyes widen as you scan the small space. Usually you're outside when you hung out with Derek, so this was the first time you'd been inside his room. Within reach of his neatly made bed was a bookshelf filled with novels, various scattered soccer balls and footballs stuck out around the books and furniture. Things were arranged and organized with the same care Derek put most things into. Wait on. Your things were arranged and organized with the same care Derek put into most things he did. Hi, baby. Who's my good little kitty? Who's my good baby boy? Love you. If there was more time, you were sure there were tons of more trinkets and treasures to spot there. Like a game of I Spy. It wasn't big, but Derek made the most of a small piece of the world. Kitten? Yes? Your room is cool. There are lots of balls in here. Are you sure you have enough soccer balls and footballs? This is amazing. Your room is cool.
Really?
Casual Derek scratched the side of his cheek. He cheerfully watched she look over his things until it clicked. Kitten? Kitten what? Did something happen? Whoa! We've never hung out in my room before, huh? Nope, it's the first time. That's kind of weird when you think about it. Okay. It could be my internet too, I don't know.
Sorry.
But anyway, I don't have any chairs in here. You can sit on my bed if you want. Thanks, I appreciate it. You know what? I'm laying across his bed. You sighed loudly, letting yourself melt into the cozy blankets. Peered across his arms and laughed loudly. Sure, get comfortable. You playfully propped yourself up on your elbow and rested your chin on the palm of your hands. Peered crossed over the foot of his bed and sat there on the end of it, his jaw stretched open in a huge yawn that he quickly covered with his hand.
Good job, team.
We're finally done. There was no missing the proud satisfaction burning in his green eyes. You could also consequently see the places where he was wilting. Sometimes you kind of worried about how he threw himself wholeheartedly into things all the time. Derek, don't ask me to watch those kids again. You tease. You know how to do again. Just a nice. You know, I'm gonna say. You know, I'm jokingly going to say, Derek, don't ask me to watch those kids again. Dropping your face in your hands, you shook your head in exaggerated motion. Derek chuckled at your joke. He knew you would be there if he needed your help again.
I get it.
I can try. Derek stretched out his arms high in the air and yawned again. His eyelids dropped as he turned towards you. Gradually, the careful warmth faded from his demeanor. His face fell into a quiet frown when his hand had returned to his lap.
You don't have to.
You don't have to do it again, Salem. Whether it's a good or a bad time, it's just a lot of time and you have your own things to deal with. Your brows went at that, tilting your head. You can't help but think about how much Derek's days went to his brothers. It definitely didn't seem to match how things were with your sister and you. But then, as if you summoned your thoughts about him, the bedroom door creaked open just enough to let a giggling necklace slip in. He threw his hands in the air. I'm just... With a loud thud, the doors swung fully open, and George marched in with an extremely annoyed scowl. He put his hands on his hips. You sprung up and kicked your leg over the side of the mattress. Blazing on the bed wasn't on the schedule anymore. Nicholas, we're playing in the living room, not Derek's room. George reached for his younger brother, but Nicholas scurried up onto the bed. He rarely peeked up at George from behind Derek's shoulder. Derek notably didn't say a single word, nor did he appear surprised about the intrusion at all. The only movement he made was a light pat on the messy hair of Nicholas's head, like usual. What wasn't unusual in the distant look on his face. He had accepted the reality at hand, but did not welcome it. Mr. and Mrs. Schwartz crowded into the room next. Eesh. What the heck? I'm gonna say, I know my streams were longer than this. The heck?
Excuse us.
Sorry, Derek. He slipped away in a flash.
Yeah. No more.
Come on, Nicholas. Let Derek and Salem have some space. See you later, Moon. Have a good rest of your day. Or night. I believe it's day for you, if I remember correctly. The youngest Schwartz stubbornly clung onto Derek's arm. His cheeks puffed out angrily. Nicholas, go hang out with Mom and Dad. Don't you want to see them too? They missed you today. Yeah, I know. There's nothing I can really do about it. My Ethernet cable is plugged in, my internet's turned on, so I don't know what the heck is going on. Don't you want to see Mom and Dad too? Come on, Derek! Nicholas loosened his grip as he shifted to get a better look at his big brother. Derek sighed spiritlessly. I do, but I have a friend over right now. I'll spend time with Mom and Dad and you later. Nicholas bent forward and grasped Derek's pant leg. He brought out the big guns and stared at him with the most pitiful eyes and matching pout. You know, Derek does what he's supposed to. You know what Derek is supposed to do. You can be like that now. Don't be sad. It's a happy day. Well, I'm not surprised this happened. You seem to have feeling awkward in the situation. You rubbed your arms with precision. You know what? He's a kid. You know, Derek does what he's supposed to do. You can be like that now, Nicholas. All focus shifted to you in surprise. But the one you were focused on was the youngest Schwartz silently. he met your stare and you could tell that he was mulling over your words. I know you can do that. For a second, you had a glimmer of hope that you could fix things for Derek. But as the moment passed, Nicholas still didn't budge from his spot. His grasp only tightened.
End of discussion.
Nicholas, we're reading a story right now. Nicholas angrily shook his head as she advanced across the room. She unapologetically peered her smallest child off Derek. The young boy let out a high-pitched whine for the entire extraction. George frowned sympathetically over the confrontation while Derek winced at the noise. When the deed was done, the middle son followed his mom out of the room. You could still hear Nicholas's piercing cry as he was carried away. I'm very sorry about the interruption. Continue as you were. None of us were ever here. He gave the both of you an encouraging smile before carefully shutting the door again. It was finally silent. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Derek kept an eye out until he honestly believed that there wouldn't immediately be another sibling disaster. When he deemed it safe, he let out a quick sigh in an attempt to choke back a harsher groan. Derek flopped back again on the mattress with another huff and stretched his arm out at his side. His arms twitched and his fingers curled into fists. There's never any privacy here! How am I supposed to deal with things even after spending almost the whole day with them? You held your tongue, waiting patiently for him to get it all out. Derek muttered grievances under his breath, with a harsh glare aimed at the ceiling for a good minute, and screwed his mouth shut. It's familiar. I thought Elizabeth could be difficult to deal with. At least your brothers don't think they're the boss like Elizabeth. I was gonna say, and I thought Elizabeth was difficult to deal with. It was like your comments sliced through his festering thoughts. His face twitched like he was fighting to hold onto his frustration, but a snort and a weak laughter won out. Maybe I should ask her for some advice on getting people to leave you alone. He stared absent-mindedly, tugging at the tips of his hair, as he gave his joke some serious thought. You crossed your arms, trying to figure out what your sister would do in Derek's shoes. Maybe I'm not sure what you say, but I like the way you do things. Thanks, Salem. Evening his breath, Derek folded his arms across his chest and squeezed his eyelids shut. You could tell by the tension in his face that he was still bewildered. He was thinking hard, searching for something. I can make this work. His low mumble was followed by a pause that he had intrigued. And then he jumped forward so that he was sitting upright again. The grin you were so used to seeing was back in full force. Salem, wanna go back to the pool? No one's gonna be there this late, and my bros aren't gonna be able to leave the house. We don't have to get in or even change clothes. I think it'd be a kind of a nice place to talk in, that sort of thing. Avoiding your gaze, Derek nervously rubbed the back of his head. You could tell that he was trying his hardest to be nonchalant, but he wasn't exactly succeeding. Keep thinking. Alright! Derek leapt to his feet, holding out a hand up for you to take. You got up on your arm. Suddenly you gripped his hand tightly. Derek squeezed you back, and helped pull you to your feet. Let's go! The door slowly creaked open as Derek peeked out, double checking that the coast was actually clear. He gave you a thumbs up. I don't see Nicholas. I think we're good. He returned his thumbs up, silently hoping that this wasn't the calm before the storm. Derek led you into the living room, where you found his dad and George sitting together on the couch. Hello, Mom has necklace in his room, enraptured in another exciting session of story time. Good. Salem and I were gonna go to the pool area and hang out. Is that okay?
Of course.
He chuckled, knowing exactly what Derek was trying to accomplish. George was perfectly happy where he was with his dad, so he waved goodbye to you both. Don't keep Salem out too late. I won't. Thanks, Dad. Derek whispered with complete confidence. He gave your appreciation in an equal hushed tone. Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. The last thing either of you wanted was to alert the youngest Schwartz that had anything fun. Oops. The last thing either of you wanted was to alert the youngest Schwartz that anything fun was happening without his knowledge, so you both silently slipped out of the apartment. Once you were free from the condo's walls, Derek's excitement was palpable. You picked up the pace and raced to the pool's gate. For the third time in a single day, you and Derek stepped foot on the condo's complex's private pool. But you soon realized that you hadn't seen everything it had to offer yet. Under the cover of night, the pool was completely aglow with the light set into the bottom. The bright blue struck you as inviting breaths of steam drifted off the top of the water, whispering how warm it was. The closed-in space was clear of any other people, and it had been like that for a while, considering the stillness of the pool. Not a single ripple disrupted its aquamarine surface. Here you'd have peace and privacy. Derek was drawn to the water like a moth to a flame. He wordlessly rolled up his jeans and tugged off his sneakers and socks and ducked his feet right into the pool up to the middle of his calf. He stretched out and wiggled his bare toes in the comfortable embrace of the heated pool on a summer night. He joined Derek at the edge. Yeah. You know what? I think I would rather sit by him, because personally, if I'm gonna be by the water, I would rather either be fully in the water or not in it at all. So that's just me. Hand into the water. That would work too, I guess. It was pleasant, as its sparkling appearance promised. The water had none of the slight chill that the air did. It was a perfect amount of heat. Derek wrapped both his arms around the smooth tile edge and tilted back one of his legs as his back drifted down, like his upper and lower body were each one side of a seesaw. He grinned playfully at you.
What?
So, what are you thinking about? Wait, sorry. I'm gonna say, well, that's not what I want. Well, yeah. Oh, well, it's not your fault. He solemnly brought his torso back up until he was hunched over the water. He stared down at it. All his lightheartedness had disappeared in an instant. That kind of makes the whole interruption thing even more sucky, though. There wasn't any he in it, but Derek managed to chuckle. Sorry for making my problems your problems. He dug his fingers into the side of his hair, scratching at it in frustration.
It doesn't matter.
I don't even know what my problem is. They came in the room for 5 seconds. So dramatic. You deal with a lot of problems. It annoyed me, and I don't even live here. Derek, that's not dramatic. And it wasn't the only thing that happened today. I'm just saying, Nicholas is dramatic. You're mild. Yeah. Garrett crossed his arms tight and pushed them against his leg, the top of his leg. Water rippled around him as his legs moved against the pool wall. He pressed his heels onto it. The pressure that had only been on the inside was coming out. It's just... The thing is, Nicholas and George need me all the time, and my parents need me because they need me. I don't want to let them down. I really don't, but it's hard. Every day, it's like I'm gonna mess up and disappoint somebody. He bit his tongue and released his limbs from the locked position they'd been stuck in. Didn't scrub the furrow away from his brows. Forget it. Everyone has stuff to worry about. It's not just me. Mom has to take care of them way more than I do, and Dad works a job pretty much the entire day. What they have things to... What if they have things to do? Things to do... What if they do things too? You still deserve to be happy. He went silent and moved. Nicholas was the one who caused trouble. Somehow Derek had made himself the bad guy. It was upsetting, but Eric wasn't anywhere close to being grown up. Of course he couldn't be perfect, even though he acted like he thought he should be. Derek, remember when your dad first came to the pool? Remember when your dad first came to the pool and you, George, and Nicholas were all so excited? You were just like your brothers. Even if you're in charge sometimes, you're still your parents' kid. You don't have to act like an adult, especially not with me. Finally, slowly and carefully, Derek darted to glance at you again. Thanks, Salem, for saying that. His shoulders squished inward, frame. His shoulders squished into frame his lowered head. He looked so much like a hopeful puppy that he could give even Nicholas a run for his money in the adorable face department. He is adorable! There's no denying his cuteness.
Was it annoying?
It really doesn't bother you that I complain, and sometimes hanging out with me means helping me out with two other kids? For all the confidence Derek displayed, when push came to shove, he was pretty insecure about himself and what you thought of him. Not at all. Complain away. As long as you don't mind me dealing with Elizabeth when you visit me. Derek showed his full face to you. It was lit up by the light shining through the water. The smile of his face was just glittering. I don't ever want to be a pain, but it's really cool to have a friend who doesn't mind listening to me and being there. He didn't say that lightly. He only wanted to let himself be there for you and everyone else. Being somebody Derek could count on was special. His cheeks flushed just admitting it, but with the way your heart fluttered, you were sure your face was a match. Then his eyebrows furrowed mischievously, and just like that, he catapulted right off the tile edge into the pool. You gasped as if you were the one who suddenly got plunged into the water. Derek burst through the surface with a loud gasping laugh. The water is great. Broke out into laughing.
This is gonna be great.
Everything's gonna be good, Salem. I'm not an adult. That was true. Let's stare from the ground. I don't like swimming in clothes. I never have. I've done it before. I hated it. You saw Derek from the ground. Before he could blink, you sprayed his already dripped face with another keeping serving a pool of water. Ah! Oh, game on! He sent a wave over the edge of the pool and he scrambled away. He chuckled triumphantly. You might have the high ground, but I've got the resources! These two are like a couple of puppies! It's so cute! Laughter and sloshing. Water brought the one segment pool to life. You and Derek still had the place to yourself, and it made the absolute most of it. But eventually, Derek crawled up the stairs out of the pool. His baggy clothes pulled out of the mini waterfall with every step he took on land. Derek looked especially tiny with his drenched jersey drooped over his frame. Got up to your feet and walked over to Derek, not wanting him to have to make the trip alone in that state. Gave you a thumbs up. And carefully tipped his head to the side and tapped his hand against his ears to get the water out.
Well...
Alright. Time to face the music. I need to go home. Damn. Derek's mood far more than the water on his body. He could do anything here in a wide open pool with you as his only companion. Going back to his family came with countless expectations and responsibilities, but it still had to be done. Yeah. You gave a small nod, readying yourself for whatever might happen when you arrived at the Schwarz condo. Without another word, Derek collected his shoes, and you left the little oasis behind. You walked side by side. No! What? No, we're holding hands! We're doing this cute style! We're making this kawaii trash! Each other's hands. His slippery fingers gripped you as tightly as they could. When you made it to the front door, Derek used the key from his pocket to open it. He hadn't forgotten to bring it, despite leaving under rush and uneasy circumstances. Derek stood there in front of the unlocked door, just staring at it. Practical preparation was his forte, making himself ready for bumps in relationship was not. I've got your back, Derek. We can do it. Yeah. He took in a huge breath through his nose and turned the knob. The living room was quiet when you went inside. George and Mr. Schwarz had moved over to the kitchen and were busy putting together a puzzle. Mr. Schwarz's shoulder blocked your views, so you couldn't see what the picture was supposed to be. Mrs. Schwarz and Nicholas were nowhere in sight. You guessed they were still in the younger boy's bedroom. It was strange not to have someone cheer and shout when Derek walked through the door. There was a feeling of absence. We're back! He announced himself with an absolute lack of enthusiasm. He might as well have been calling off bingo numbers to an empty room. Mr. Schwarz lifted his head and turned to face both of you. At the same time, he eagerly pushed his chair away from the counter. I see. Thank you for coming home. The greeting he gave was so normal, it was weird considering how Derek brought a bucket full of water absorbed into his clothes. George offered a typical family greeting of his own, not taking his eyes off the puzzle. He was either focused or avoiding the awkwardness.
Welcome back.
Derek silently poked a bare big toe onto the prickly doormat. The mess Derek's foot was making was too much for the little mat to contain. Water leaked from the edges. Derek's attempt to face his family was going equally smoothly. The bright pleasantries on Mr. Suarez's face softened into warmth. He followed through the motion. He stared and got out of his chair. He crossed the living room to stand with the two of you at the front door. My hardworking son is always on demand, Our family needs to learn how to share, especially Nicholas. The last part was said with a little chuckle. Derek didn't smile from the compliment. They did start to blush.
Excuse me.
A new voice came from the hall. Mrs. Schwarz stood there with her hands on her hips, looking up from behind the skirt of her dress, the distinct spikiness of brown hair. You're here. Someone has something he wants to say to his big brother. Her words got George to actually turn away from the puzzle and watch the scene, but Nicholas remained hidden. Her encouragement wasn't enough, as always. He was waiting for Derek. You didn't need to tell Derek that, though. He knew it far better than you. He shifted his weight on his feet and gave Nicholas an invitation.
Okay.
Okay then, what did you want to say? Nicholas darted from behind his mom with enough speed to flutter her dress. His tiny feet thundered over the floor until he came to an abrupt stop in front of his favorite person. He had to lean his head all the way back to look at Derek's eyes. Derek looked down to meet his gaze. Nicholas resisted the urge to hug him and instead clutched the collar of his own shirt.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Hey, that's your room. How much Nicholas struggled to explain his apology. It was obvious that he wasn't at a point where he understood why being together at all times wasn't a completely fantastic idea. All that had gotten through him all that had gotten through was that he'd upset his brother and that had in turn upset him. Nicholas bit his lip and moved his hands up to pull the bottom of his shirt instead of the top. The best he could come up with was simply repeating himself.
Sorry.
Derek's lips worked just as a bit as he patiently listened to his little brother. You should say sorry to her too. Salem helped you a lot today. Nicholas instantly twisted his head towards you and echoed the word. He was very serious. Sorry, Salem! You know what? I'm saying we're gonna smile at him. He's so sweet. Nicholas hopped on the pads of his feet as a nervous but hopeful energy came over him. Your reaction was the first positive sign he'd gotten. The smallest bars glanced between you. Derek unsurely Excuse me. He let his shirt go and balled his hands into fists. I'm sorry, Derek. I'm sorry, Salem. Nicholas put everything he had into willing whatever problem he'd caused to be fixed, and into people not feeling bad anymore. The emotional display of regret moved some people in the room to speak.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. Derek snorted a laugh at the unexpectedness of the interjection. What did you even do? I don't know. The middle child looked down at the puzzle in front of him again, but he was staring through the pieces as if they weren't there. He just murmured barely loud enough to hear from where you were standing. You and Salem had to watch me today too. Derek's hesitancy completely crumbled, and his usual family dynamic came back in full force.
Aww.
Aw, George, you don't have to apologize for that. I like to have some time by myself or with my friends, but I'd never want to stop having my little bros. Aw, that's sweet. Nicholas's massive wide eyes sparkled. For the first time since they were reunited, he carefully reached out to Derek and gripped his soaking wet jeans. Derek reached down and gently pat his baby brother's head, as he did probably every day. Neither boy cared that this time his hand was damp. Instead, they both smiled and at the other with unwavering affection. No matter what fission happened, it was inevitable that it would end that way because they both loved their family equally and deeply. Another person took a turn to cut in as Mr. Schwarz spoke with Spiker. Derek, Salem, let's race! What? Derek chuckled at your confusion and switched his head pad into a full hair ruffle. Nicholas giggled excitedly along with his brother. Dad is gonna ask us to play a video game, an old kart racer he likes. Yes, and I will win it. Derek's dad cheerfully tackled on that. It couldn't be forgotten clearly. George could be player 4. Hello, Pizza. Welcome. How are you? Mrs. Schwarz was the only one who truly kept her distance during the reconciliation between Derek and Nicholas, but now she joined the rest of the family. When she was close enough to you and Derek to whisper, she pressed a hand on the corner of her mouth and winked conspiratorially. I'll give Miko an unplugged controller. Derek grinned at that point and shifted into giving the longest strands of Nicholas's hair a friendly tug, but he didn't accept the invite immediately. He included you in the discussion. I'm good. What do you think, Salem? It's up to you. He nodded and turned to answer his father. All right, let's race. Derek's mom encouraged you and Derek with her, whereas Nicholas with her hands taking him by the shoulders. This time she wouldn't be letting him get away from her. Go get changed. We'll plug it in so it's ready by the time you're back. Thanks, Mom! Derek's mood continued to be buoyed by the support of his parents, and he left to go get changed while walking as lightly as he could in his wet clothes. He didn't know where anything was, so you had to leave the prep work to Mr. Schwarz and George. The two of them got right into it, opening drawers and pulling out cords. He found something to do, keeping Nicholas company with Mrs. Schwartz. He was on his best behavior and didn't whine for Derek even once. And as promised, the Schwartz's dark purple GameCube was fully connected to the 4 controllers plugged in by the time Derek strolled into the living room. A familiar shout filled the whole room. All was right with the world. I can't get over the adorableness that is this little gremlin. Yep, Nico, I'm here. Mrs. Schwartz was on the carpet with Nicholas in her lap. She'd already passed him a controller and was having a blast pressing clicky Y buttons despite the fact he did nothing except make a little noise. George and Mr. Schwartz took seats on the couch. George tucked himself closely against his father, so the two were only taking up one side. The other half of the couch was reserved for you and Derek. Derek dove into the spot next to George. He got settled in nicely against the plush back of the couch and folded his legs against the cushion. He got the final place and relaxed against the armrest. George passed one controller to Derek, which Derek gave to you. Then he handed over a second, which Derek kept. Mr. Schwartz filled you in on a decision he and his second son had made.
What do you think?
Junior and I are on a team. You and Salem can play together. What do you think? Derek tilted his head your way. He lifted his shoulders and added onto his dad's briefing. It's a double racer. One drives, the other controls items. Sounds cool. Great. It's you and me then. The deal was sealed. Pacts had been made. George perked up and shook Mr. Schwartz's arm. Dad, we're Team Schwartz. Yes, we are. Derek's fingers were on the buttons, and he was laying over his crossed legs in anticipation for the game to begin. He replied unbothered. Cool for you guys. But his gaze still glued to the TV. A cheeky grin pulled at his lips. Derek spoke one more thing under his breath. That was meant just for him, but you were sitting close enough to still catch it. I don't mind being Team Pauws. Heck yeah! Team Pauws all the way! Let's go! He giggled sweetly, being squished into a couch so close to him even felt warmer. All 4 players making up 2 teams chose the characters, cards, positions, and the track set. To start, Derek and Mr. Schwartz were driving, and you and George had item launching duty. 3, 2, 1. The cars launched across the starting lines, with both drivers getting an extra boost. Team Pauws and Team Schwartz were off down to the colorful jungle room. There would be 3 laps before the race was over. Lap 1 was a frantic race for the top spot. The cars were neck and neck to each other over every hill and around each curve, neither getting ahead or falling behind. Attacks were consistently exchanged and buttons were pressed at rapid speed. That included Nicholas as he watched the race and tried to put his controller in the way everyone else was. He wondered which part of the game he thought he was impacting. By lap 2, Team Pauws had taken a strong lead. Almost nothing from the Schwarz camp could reach your cart. Once he passed the line to start lap 3, Derek was cocky enough to bring out smack talk. Oh god. I thought you were gonna win, Dad! Mr. Schwarz's expression was perfectly content, more than it was serene. And with that, calm-faced Derek's father carefully reached across George and then, in the blink of an eye, locked his large hand around the comparative tiny controller Derek held. Hey! The car you and Derek shared went out of control, careening over the dirt path into a pit. You had to wait for the game to fish you out and place you back on the road. Team Schwarz rolled on past. See? I'm winning now. Oh, that's just dirty. That is just dirty. Derek, we got this, right? Derek's dad was boldly unapologetic. Grinned like a child who just found out you can get a hole-in-one at putt-putt golf if you just drop the ball in the hole. You're cheating now! Derek sputtered with laughter made of equal parts amusement and disbelief. He yanked his arms towards his chest to fight for freedom. Mr. Schwarz's grip was unmovable. We're running interference, huh? Damn, even Mom is calling him out for cheating. From a distance, Mr. Schwarz mused over the situation that had begun to unfold. Her husband stole a look at where she had been sitting. She was gone, leaving only Nicholas on the floor. Mr. Schwarz lifted one thick eyebrow and pressed the other lower. He could only puzzle over what it might mean until it all became clear by the world going dark for him. Oh, oh, Derek's mom is great. Derek's mom had crawled over behind the couch, popped up from behind, and slipped her fingers under Mr. Schwarz's glasses. He was caught completely off guard. Hey, baby boy. God, I love this game. His father stared from the shock of surprise, from a surprise attack that wasn't committed by himself. Yeah, Mom! Derek hadn't gotten his controller back. Mr. Schwarz was stubborn in his hold, but his dad was just impacted as a driver. Yeah, Mom! I'm gonna go. Derek's cheers came from behind. All the excitement in the air had terrified Nicholas. He wasn't just playing with an off controller anymore. He crawled on all fours at a rapid pace until he reached on the couch and launched himself right at his dad's stomach. Oh my god. It was powerful enough that Mr. Schwarz sprung forward. and Mrs. Schwar's hands, and Mrs. Schwar's hands were yanked off him. Oof. But Derek's controller was finally freed. Mr. Schwarz had to let go of both controllers to catch his squirming child. God, this little menace! This little menace right here! Nicholas would not be contained. He climbed over his dad's shoulders and wrapped his arms around Mr. Schwarz's face. In sweet justice, Team Schwarzkart flew off a bridge into the abyss below. Yeah, Nicholas! Yeah, good boy. George placed his own controller in his lap with a shake of his head and a smirk. Team Schwarz wasn't winning this race. Derek rolled his shoulders and poked a tongue out of the corner of his mouth in concentration. He was back in business. The team Pauws course corrected and raced towards the finish line of the final lap. The younger Schwarz hugged all four of his limbs around his dad, even tighter from the thrill of seeing Derek speed his cart around the track. Yeah! Items weren't needed now, but you were just invested in watching your cart make the last stretch. And Derek brought it home, crossing the finish line. We won! Derek threw his fist in the air and pumped him back down to his chest. Turned to you with a palm held out for a smack. Oh no, we're hugging him. We're tackle hugging this boy. You ignored the hand and flung your arms around his neck. You squeezed your back, pressing his face into your shoulder. You were victorious! We won! Nicholas sent his arms up towards the sky in a perfect imitation of his eldest brother. Mr. Schwarz used the opportunity to collect his son from his shoulder and placed Nicholas onto his lap. He pet his son's hair and laughed breathlessly, but full of joy. Okay. I lost. Next race. Next race. This time, Derek repeated the phrase, still raring to go. That was naturally followed by the original copycat, Nicholas clapped gleefully and snuggled up against his seat on his father's chest. Next race! George picked up his abandoned controller once more. His voice was quieter, but no less sincere. Yeah, next race. In all the commotion, you completely forgotten. You could have switched the driver role to take over for Derek at any time. George could have too for his dad, but you were glad it went the way it did. Team Pauws got its win with the assistance of team pile drivers Nicholas and Mrs. Schwarz. Because hell yeah! And the game was just getting started. Okay. Let's say, next race. You can't help joining the patter. You got big smiles from the family. Well, now this is a real party. There's still pizza in the fridge. Who wants leftovers? The suggestion for food riled Nicholas up even more. clambered over to his dad's shoulders for a second time, tugging on his beard and accidentally knocking his glasses off Mr. Schwartz. And accidentally knocking off his glasses off. Knocking his glasses off. Blah. Mr. Schwartz wheezed out a chuckle. Nicholas stared from over the couch onto the kitchen. He wanted that pizza. We couldn't be the first to ask. I will have... Let me say, I do! I want pizza! I do!
Same.
Me too! George and Mr. Schwartz chimed in on their own request.
Sure.
Can I have some, Mom? I would like some pizza, my beloved wife, who never turns against me. This family dynamic is so adorable. I love it so much. Snicker with glint in her eyes. Of course. Start the game. I'll heat it up. All four Schwartz men spoke in unison. Thanks, Mom! All four? The dad said thanks, Mom? Wouldn't you say something like thanks, love, thanks, honey, thanks, wifey? Okay, maybe not the last one. I don't know what it is, but I hate the term wifey for some reason. Thank you, too!
You're welcome.
The players all resumed their positions and took up their tools, slightly sweating GameCube controller. When the second race started, the grin on Derek's face was one of the most radiant you'd seen the whole day. His mom and brothers too really knew how to make Derek happy. That brought a smile to your face too. From forgetting a window into Derek's life, and from what you knew from your own, spending every day with the same people, you could take a lot of patience, but there were a lot of perks too. Your time at the Schwartz household ended with family, food, and fun. There wasn't much more you could have asked for. That was very adorable and sweet. However, I'm gonna save here. Yeah. And I'm gonna call it quits for the stream. So... Oh, no, that is not OBS. Pop, 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 pop. Oh. Oh. Pop, 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 pop. Dun, 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 dun. But thank you guys so much for watching and joining me this evening. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys did as well in spite of some of the hiccups. But that is it for me for today. If you guys enjoyed the stream, well, if you're watching this as a VOD, be sure to like and subscribe. I am on Twitter and Tumblr if you would like to follow me. If you ever want to send me snackies when during my next stream, or send me gifts, you do not have to. Please do not feel obligated. I do have a treat stream and a throne. If you like what you see here on my channel and want to help with future content, as long as other projects that I'm working on, I have a Stream Elements page that you can donate to. But that is it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you all next time.